Good morning, everybody. Whew. It's early. I like this music though. All right. Hope you guys have your coffee because this is going to be a learning experience. Thank you for joining me here today on the show version live stream. And I'm going to show you a version of myself learning the WLANpi. I know a lot of you guys have WLANpis because you guys are Wi-Fi professionals and you've got one from WLPC. What kind of coffee are you guys drinking today? And where are you guys coming from? I know Jim is in the chat, so is Lariana. We got Chris Reed. Thank you guys for joining me. Maybe you can help me learn a few things or two about the WLANpi, because this is only going to be my second time using the WLANpi. My first time was yesterday, getting ready for this live stream. All right, so I am going live 7 days straight, 7 a.m. Pacific time. I believe this is day number 4, and it's Sunday, so it is pretty difficult to get on anyone on YouTube live here on a Sunday morning. But I've got this sucker here with me. It's a WLANpi that I got at WLPC Prague, and I bought 2 of them. And this whole idea of this topic for the live show came about because I saw a discussion on Twitter where Ben Miller said that the WLANpi is a frustrating thing, and it's not ready as a professional grade troubleshooting and analysis tool. It's a hobbyist tool. And so I was in the kitchen and I said, hey, I've got 2 WLANpis that I've never used since going to WLPC Prague back in October of 2019. So why don't I try starting that up? And if Ben's frustrated, I wonder if I will get frustrated doing the same thing. And so we've got the WLANpi is actually just a little square computer. This is a case, I think, made by Joel Crane, and it's an awesome case because the WLANpi sits right here. You get access to the buttons. It's got an Ethernet port, a USB port, and it has access to the SD card in the back, if I can get it there. And built in is this cable, which also acts as a strap for carrying it, but it locks in and you plug it into your computer. It's got a heatsink in the back too. So it's a neat little tool. And so I tried it out last night, and without reading any documentation, it was kind of difficult to get into. And so I do have a WLANpi, my other one, plugged in, ready to go, and thought I'd show it to you guys if I can ever get this camera to focus properly on my WLANpi. So let me try to fix that. Right now, it's plugged into my computer on my Lightning dock. And the first frustrating thing, if no one has ever looked at the documentation, this is linked down. And obviously, because there's no Ethernet port, or there's no Ethernet cable plugged into it at the moment. That's going to be frustrating. Can't get the camera on there. But it does have a DHCP server if you plug into it directly. So what we can do is then first show some resources that you guys should be looking at. All right, so let me try to get that up. So if you go to WLANpi.com, this is where you can find information about the WLANpi, where you can get one, get the latest image, and I'll tell you a short story about that. And here's a getting started guide along with GitHub on the project, and an FAQ. So that's pretty much it, right? So if you wanted to purchase this sucker, and I got 2 at WLPC, but you can head over to the WLANpros.com/shop. You can get a WiSpy DBX with a WLANpi, which I should have taken out my WiSpy DBX for this. But here's the WLANpi handheld edition, $220 US. All right. You can even get the case kit if you already have a WLANpi, which is really cool. And by the way, if you're trying to if you guys didn't know, if you try to access the screws, you could actually just peel back the label, and then you'll get access to them. So that's that. So the first thing, trying to figure out how to get this WLANpi to work is, what do I need to do first? Well, when you plug it in via USB, it actually has a DHCP server, and you get an IP address through the USB from that DHCP server, and it's on 192.168.42.1. And so here I am browsing my WLANpi, and that's the homepage. And I want to say, Gurman, thanks for joining me after some garden work. That seems pretty calming. Awesome. And hopefully you had a great dinner. And so here I am on the homepage of the WLANpi. It's currently on version 1.8.3, and I think we're now on version 1.9. But Chris Reed says it's not technically a DHCP server, RNDIS connection under the hood. So you're probably right. I just figured it was a DHCP server because I got an IP address that way. But yes, 42 is the best number, Jim. But I did manage to get here. I haven't updated. So I'll show you the easy parts. So my WLANpi that's connected right now has not been configured at all. So I'm just starting it up for the first time. And if you want to do the speed test, you really got to connect this to your LAN for a speed test. And so why don't we try doing that real quick, because that's probably important to get things going. All right. So I'll never get this camera adjusted. It does not like me. It's just a webcam. But let me see if I can at least get it somewhere close to where you can see what's on the screen. Currently, it doesn't have an IP address. It has a self-assigned IP because I don't have Ethernet plugged in. So let me try that. Whoa, there you go. Let's fix this. Well, that was crazy. All right. It takes a while for it to get an IP. So we're letting it get connected here. There's the Ethernet. All right. So while it's doing that, I do want to go back to the home page. Let me get. So you can see here you got speed test. There's a speed graph, Kismet, which won't work because it's not enabled. Downloads. So I've got an SSH client on there. Putty. Wireshark is on here for the WLANpi. A lot of these I haven't even tested yet. And so Profiler, I think, is interesting. A lot of people like this feature, which I haven't set up yet. And so what I'm going to do is show you what I've done to get this thing running. So the first thing, obviously, is plug it in via USB. You'll get an IP address. Your IP address is 192.168.42.2, and the 42.1 is the WLANpi. So it does take a while to get an IP address, and so what I'll try to do here is show you what's going on. So if we go to menu, and I think I need to zoom in here because it's too far for you guys, isn't it? All right. So if we could try to focus here. That's going to be hard to see. So I'm going to try to do this. So in this menu, I have network status and apps. And so if I click on this middle button, which is next, it'll show us what's in the network. And then let's try to autofocus this because it's really annoying. It's every time I switch cameras, it decides to change focus on me. All right, so this on the top here is interfaces. Then we got WLAN interfaces, USB devices, UFW ports. And so I'll go to interfaces and hit next. And it's giving me an IP address. So now the Ethernet port has an IP address on my LAN. The USB says it's 192.168.42.1, and the WLAN is in monitor mode. So if we exit here, we can take a look also at WLAN interfaces, and you can see it's just in monitor mode on channel 1. All right. So with that, you could actually SSH into the WLANpi, and by default, the sticker has the credentials at the top, so it's WLANpi. WLANpi at 192.168.42.1, WLANpi, and you're in, right? So we've got a nice screen here, and actually, I wanted to give credit to the people who develop for the WLANpi. I think a lot of contribution has been done by Jerry, Ola, Nigel Bowden, and Scott McDermott, and I'm pretty sure there's other people, but those are the three that I saw that have been contributing to this thing. So great job on getting this tool for professionals. But we want to see how easy it is to set up. All right, so we can SSH to it. I've already plugged in Ethernet, so we can do IP address, and you could see the Ethernet here and what my IP address is. So now I should be able to just ping it, right? And I cannot. So is that right IP? What did I type? 192. I don't even know my own network. There it is. So we can ping the WLANpi. We can also get to it on the LAN as well. And so there you go. I'm logged in via SSH through the Ethernet port of that IP, whereas on this tab, I was logged into 192.168.42.1 via the USB port. And so that's the first part, right? I'm getting this thing configured. And since I haven't updated this thing in a long time, and I mean, this is the first time I've booted this specific WLANpi up, it's running some older packages. So the first thing that we have to do is run a sudo apt update. Plug that in, and there is a faster command that we could run, but I want to show you each individual part because this is one of, I guess, and this is with any tool, because when you're playing with any tool or you're trying to use a tool for your job, you have to make sure it's updated, right? So we're used to, some of us are used to tools that are what are considered enterprise grade, right? And what is that really? For me, enterprise means it's a reliable tool and has the like a structured support behind it. So if something wasn't working, I could actually make a call to somebody and they can help me get it working the right way. I get regular updates, for example. To me, that would be one of the ways to get an enterprise tool. And now Chris says that one of the current limitations of the WLANpi is in the upgrade process. Now, if you're going to upgrade the actual image, you need to completely re-image the SD card. And so the SD card is in the back, or it's a micro SD card. And I needed tweezers to take it out, to be honest, because of like the little section there that's like right behind that USB. It wasn't that easy to take out. And so I had to use tweezers, which I use for some of the 3D printing stuff, but it wasn't that easy to take out the SD card. And then you have to download the image and basically re-image the card. And so here I'm just updating packages, and I just want to make sure it's still going. 99%. I should wait. And German does make a comment that yes, you should use Etcher to do that image upgrade. So I'm not going to do any image upgrades during this live because that would take too long. We're already waiting for these updates to go. But as soon as these updates are done, we could talk about what else we could do, right? So basically you run the sudo apt update, and then there's sudo apt upgrade. I'm not sure if I don't run these, if some of these tools won't work, but I won't run it for now. And I apologize, my allergies are starting to catch up with me this morning. One of the things that you do want to do with the wireless interface is be able to configure that. And so what I'll do is I'll clear this scroll back here. So we did see in the network interface that there was a WLAN interface there. And so what we'll want to do is join that to a wireless network. And so to do that, we're going to do sudo etc or nano. I need nano. etc network and then interfaces. And so here we've got the wired adapter. It's currently set to DHCP. And if you wanted to set that static, you can do so here. But down here, there's a wireless adapter number 1. And the one thing I want to change here, I'll leave it at DHCP and leave that interface up, is this line, the supplicant line. And so I just want to copy this line here because after we remove the comment in order for it to use it, we will modify or add some configuration to this WPA Supplicant configuration file. So we'll exit and save this file. And then we'll go over to the supplicant file. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Sudo nano, where was that file? I already forgot. etc, I believe. Yeah, etc. Why didn't I copy the whole thing? And so here in this file, and I'm just using nano to modify it, you can see there's a network to authenticate with, whether that's like a WPA2 network or down here for an open authentication. I do have an SSID we can test this on to see that it could join. And currently it does not have an IP address. And actually, so if we go back here and do IP address, the WLAN is not connected to anything right here. Whereas my USB is connected and my Ethernet adapter is connected because these have IP addresses. All right. And so let's modify that WPA supplicant file again. Or I didn't modify it, but here's where, in quotes, we change it. I think I have an SSID up called CTS test. Get the format right. And then we type in our PSK. What is my PSK? I think it's that. I don't even know how many numbers I used, but we'll try it. And then I don't remember if the file is, or if we have to reboot the WLANpi in order for this to work, but let's see. So we have the WLANpi. It's not focused again. Now, and Chris thinks we can decrypt my traffic. Yeah, we could do that. We'll hit next. We'll go to WLAN interfaces. It's currently set to monitor mode. See, this is where I started having or getting frustrated with what exactly am I supposed to do to get this working? Because what I ended up doing was going to like the documentation, right? So here I have these tabs open, and what I was looking for was something to get started, because if I was time crunched and I said, hey, I have a WLANpi, how do I get it actually working? And so when I went to the FAQ, we talk about burning images, changing the password, changing the host name, changing the time zone. Here you go. How do I connect my WLANpi to the wireless network? And then this is the steps that we did. Modify the WPA Supplicant, enter your SSID and pre-shared key, unplug and replace your USB wireless NIC, or reset your WLANpi. So we have to reboot it. All right, that's a bummer. So let's go ahead and do that. Is it reboot or reload? Can never remember. It's reboot. And so we will wait for that to come back up, which should be fairly quick. And the WLANpi doesn't really show anything different. So as we wait, this is a great time to take a sip of coffee. And so the other interesting thing about the WLANpi is it's got a USB port. So you could plug in another USB adapter to this thing. So here you go. The WLANpi has rebooted. Let's look at the menu. Look at the network. Sometimes you got to press these buttons pretty hard. I want to look at my WLAN interface. And it didn't join, because you know why? I don't know the password to my network. I think that's a problem. So let me try to get that password, and then we can get going. So with that, let's talk about coffee, because Chris Reed's asking what's my brew method for coffee. When I'm in a time crunch, I just use a Keurig, but I try to find some good coffee K-cups. And then if I do have time, I'll just do a pour over. So I try to pick some local coffee brewers and then just kind of grind the beans how I want it, and then just pour hot water over that. That's how I like to drink it, and I just drink it straight black. I don't add any cream or anything. All right, so here's the number one problem for most people, right? If I had some sort of analytics, or I don't know, some AI system, if I was just joining this to a Mist network, it probably would have told me that this device is unable to connect because the password is incorrect. That probably would have been it. All right, so all right, let's log back in. And yeah, Jim, this is why I have a CWNE, to do things like this. All right, so we want to modify that file again, the supplicant file, because I made a mistake because I didn't know what my password was. It is just 123 at the end, not 1234. And now do we have to reboot the WLANpi again? My guess is we do, or there must be some command to just, I don't know, reboot the network stack or something to make this work. But as I'm looking at the WLANpi, it is not connecting at the moment. I think it's tried a few times and then it gave up. Because I don't see it. It's on the right channel. I just don't see it trying to join the SSID at the moment. All right, so we'll have to change that by doing a sudo reboot. Boom. Then we'll just ping that sucker. All right, so these are the problems I ran into trying to get the WLANpi just getting started. And we are already about 25 minutes in. And the only thing I've been able to do is SSH into it because the credentials are on the sticker. So that's easy. All right. So I think now, okay, it's just rebooted. So, and then it's just came back online. You can see the WLANpi there. It's got an IP address. And now we want to see whether or not it actually joined. And this is another frustrating thing to me. I pressed the button twice already and nothing has happened. There you go. The buttons are not that easy to work with. I'll tell you that. But hey, it's a much more inexpensive tool than, say, a tool that's $1,000. But it's going to take some time to get used to it or get it going. So I'm going to look at network. I'll go down to WLAN interfaces. And look at that. I think it's joined to my network, right? All right, let's take a look at what we got here. So if we log back into the WLANpi and then do an IP address, there you go. It's connected. Now, normally I would be able to connect to this via wireless, but this IP address is a guest network, so I can't even access it from here. And Gurman's saying he's made it work well. Switch to PSK and open network and doing yperf and then send that data to Splunk server. I have seen a blog post, I think by Christian Roberts, I think that it was him, on working with Nigel on getting that to work. And I thought that was a really great project, which I think after this, I'll look into that a bit more. I'm just not sure if you guys want to watch me do that, but we can look at something else. What I do want to look at before we get started is actually taking a look at some Wi-Fi adapter support, right? So if we look at this guy, I've got an Asus USB AC56. I'm going to plug this into the WLANpi. Let's see if I can do this without screwing it up. All right, so I plugged it in. It's getting some power. You can see the light blinking. Now let's see if the WLANpi recognizes that USB. And so if we go back here, there you go. So before we had to adjust WLAN 0. And now if we scroll down, there is another adapter. So now we've got another adapter going. I think it is limited in support of adapters. If we go to, yeah, that's a good question. Where do we see that? There was a page that I saw where they had a list of adapters that were supported, but not all of them will work. So I tried a few. I even tried I have an Edimax AC1200 adapter. This worked well. It's the model is EW7822UAC. So this one actually worked as well on the WLANpi. So and so when I'm working on this, it's taken me about, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes to get to this point. But you really have to know a little bit of Linux and understand what's available and documentation wise. But feature set wise, I think it's pretty good because of what you can get. And if we go into this, one of my favorite features, I think if I can remember how to get it going, is HORST. HORST, is that how you say it? HORST. So let me share my screen. This analysis tool called HORST. And so we actually have to log in and run a command, but it's a lightweight 802.11 WLAN analyzer text interface. And I'm all for text interfaces because it's simple and it's got some basic functionality similar to TCP dump and Wireshark and Kismet. And it shows a lot of information. And so what we want to do here is launch this command, but we can get more information on GitHub on HORST. All right, do you guys remember the command to run HORST? I don't even remember it. I did it yesterday, and it says usage. HORST needs sudo permissions, but it doesn't say what to run. So let me go back to the WLANpi, go back to the menu, and I will look at, I see there's a menu for apps, but it's not there, right? So these are other features we have to enable. So HORST, I don't remember how to enable. How do you do that? Because it's not sudo HORST, is it? It is. All right. Let me show you again. If I can quit. The command is just sudo HORST, HORST. This is the first application that I ran, and the amount of information it gives you is really cool, right? And so at the top here, you've got, actually, let me remove the picture-in-picture so you can see everything. You've got a section that has different columns here, which is the amount of packets percentage that's going on in the network. And so if I join, let me try joining another device to CTS test so we can see what's going on. And we can see that right now it sees that there's an AP under CTS test, and it sees a station. That's what this mode, the column mode is, ST station. This percentage on the right here, let me see if I can, I don't have my tool open, but this percentage here, if you see where my mouse is, those are the amount of retry. This is the channel that this ESSID is on, or these devices. So this BSSID is on channel 149, so are the stations. The signal strength, I don't remember what RAT means. And then we got what type of station, AC, megahertz support, the antennas there. So we have a 4x4 AP. But I have a device on here, and let's run a speed test and see if we can get some of the packets to change there. Look at that retry rate, 12%. Jeez. All right. Let's see if anything changes. I am on CTS test. I don't see anything changing here as far. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be packet percentage, or maybe it's just 6%. It should be this guy doing most of the traffic. And then down here, so you see more networks and devices connected to the network. Down here in this bottom section is kind of like a Wireshark, so you can see all these frames passing through and what kind of frame it is. So I can see a bunch of RTS, CTS, some action beacons, all that. And we get a live status, the signal strength, and the use. So I like this little corner here that shows me like the percentage of retries. I think that's one of the useful features. And here you have a bottom menu. And so you can see that I'm on channel 149. It's scanning on channel 149 at 80 megahertz. And I think my SSID is just a 40 megahertz. So what I'll do is, I can't change it. Can I pause it? It paused. Let's do ESSID. So here are all the SSIDs it sees on channel 149 at an 80 megahertz channel width, along with their signal strength. We can look at some other statistics. So I hit A right here, stats. And now we can see all these packets flying by, how much are retry rates, the average it's 89 bytes a packet. Total usage on this channel, 80 megahertz channel, is about 20% at the moment. So I'm curious what this looks like if we try to compare this to other tools, right? But what's nice is you got a breakdown of packets and the rates. And so look at that, counter just increasing. And my son came down earlier, so he's probably waiting for me upstairs, and he's playing, I don't know, he's probably watching YouTube. He's trying to learn how to play Minecraft and hatch some dragon eggs, that kind of thing. So that's probably him doing some traffic there. And then let's see, you can do a filter. I don't know why I can't change to it. I'm doing a fine. That's not what I want to do. But I did want to change the channel, and I can't do that. But I can quit. But I can't go to channel. So that's the other thing is how does this work? So I hit question mark, and that gives me information. So I can't right now figure out how to get to channel, even though I did it yesterday. I'm hitting C, which tells me C down here is for channel. I can't even go to filter, even though that's F. But if I go to S, it shows me that. Spectrum analyzer. I don't have a spectrum analyzer plugged in, so we don't really have anything. And I'm not sure how this functionality even works. I guess that's why I should read the documentation. But that's HORST. And I do like how this works. It's really cool. I did a reset so you can refresh it. But what I really wanted to show you was changing the channel, because I wanted to just focus it on a 40 megahertz channel width. So we can quit there. And Chris Reed put in the chat how to maybe select an interface to go with that. So we can use WLAN1, for example. And I'm using the ASUS adapter now to do these scans. And I still can't go. I don't know what I hit. We can reset. Sort by signal. That's good. So what you guys are saying is the spec and should show something, even though I don't have it. So it's just kind of I guess a poor man's spectrum analyzer, because they're not sure how good this adapter is on the WLANpi. It's definitely not a spectrum analyzer, but it should show something. But you can see that some of the functionality right off the bat doesn't work, and I don't know if I need to update or upgrade anything, but that's kind of what I'm running into. So we could do I don't know, does that work? Whoa, I don't know what that's doing. So we could do man horse maybe. There you go. So we can kind of run through what kind of, it's an uppercase C for channel. X is command. So then we could look at that. So sudo horst I WLAN1 C149. It still does it at 80 megahertz. So then we can pick channel 36. Nope, didn't do channel 36, just still on 149. So I can see where some of the frustration can lie if you're looking at this and it's not. It says failed to set channel 36, failed to initialize channels, all that. Okay, so it requires a little bit of digging, but that's HORST. And at least looking at some of the basic functionality of HORST and being able to look at this type of information, I think is pretty powerful. If you don't have any other tool and you have a WLANpi, I would definitely use this to do some troubleshooting or to do some sort of analysis, because even seeing the retry rates is useful to me. And so I don't even see my Samsung phone connected anymore. I must have changed SSIDs on me. No, it's still there. It's just that it must be this guy. Yeah, so there's a percentage of packets there. It's 11% because I canceled it a little early. That's doing a speed test. Trying to generate some stuff. Some packets over the air. All right, so that's HORST. I want to move on to something else. Yeah, and so Jim mentions that working through labs from WLPC is helpful to train yourself on the WLANpi. But I don't know, going all the way to WLPC and get training on a like $200 device, I think we should be able to try to figure out how to make it work. I guess someone should contribute further to this documentation, right? We got an FAQ here, and it needs more population in there. But so far, HORST I thought was pretty good. I just need to read up on HORST a little bit more and really understand how to navigate that interface. But I did like it, and being able to select different WLAN adapters would work. I do want to look at Kismet, because Kismet is in here. And when I did use Kismet, and actually let me browse to the IP address of the WLANpi that I can connect to over the web. All right, so here it is. Do a speed test right off the WLANpi. And this is an open source Speedtest server that you can get on GitHub. But yes, German, definitely upgrade to 1.9.1. I saw the release notes, and there were a lot of updates since 1.8.3. I just haven't had the time to upgrade. And Jim's still on 1.6, and the lab works, okay? So one thing to note with let me show my screen so you can actually see the Speedtest server. One thing to note with mine, because there's such a low speed, is the WLANpi is connected to a switch, the switch is connected to power line, so it's got some chunky power it's got to go through. But that's a basic speed test that you could use. And I think with this, because I saw this speed test, I think at WLPC Prague, someone did a presentation on extending the feature set of the speed test server and being able to query from a Cisco controller and be able to pull in some other details here, like RSSI of the device that's querying or doing the network speed test. So I think that would be an interesting way to go. And then you got the speed graph, which I think is just using the Ethernet port to kind of show you download speeds. And so it's very similar to speed tests, I guess. But I still don't know what exactly to look at, but it's got latency, so I'd be interested to see what my latency is, which is just 8 milliseconds with a jitter of 2.31. All right. So my download's poor, upload is much better. And then there's Kismet. All right. So Kismet, when you click on it, it doesn't work. And that's because you actually have to enable it. And so if we go to the WLANpi again, and we'll see if I can get this to focus so you could see how to enable Kismet. You got to go to menu, and then there are apps, right? So I was just on it. So hit the button to go down to apps, hit next. The first one is Kismet, just to show you. I will enable that one. So there we can check the status. That's the first option. So if we look at the status, it says Kismet is not running. And so then go back and then go down to start and hit next. Now Kismet is running. Okay. So should we go back here and reload? So to finish, so now we're doing the setup of Kismet. All right, this login will be stored here in this configuration file in the home directory of the user who launched Kismet. This server is running as WLANpi, and the login will be saved here in this configuration file. I'm going to keep things simple here. I'll just WLANpi for the purpose of this. And so it's welcoming me. That's nice. This is the first time you've used Kismet server on this browser. Kismet stores local settings in the HTML5 storage of your browser. You should configure that. Yeah, sure. All right, so we've got columns that we want to either enable or disable as we try to set it up here. Different colors that we want to highlight in the rows. Units of measurements, because I am in the US, we will save it as imperial and Fahrenheit. I don't have any plugins loaded since I just logged in, and this is where you can set up your user account. All right, so how many of you guys actually use Kismet on the WLANpi, and what do you guys think about it? Because I looked at this yesterday, and I just kind of looked at it and went, all right, I can see MAC addresses, BSS IDs. I don't see any QBSS. That's probably coming from the AP, so none of the APs around me have it. Oh, here's one. Be mine, TP-Link. All right, so it's showing us packet frequency, distribution, and it's about 10, almost 11% of channel usage. And then we got another one down here, so about 11%, probably on the same channel. So I'm looking at this. We've got a lot of other features down here on the bottom. Messages, I think. Yeah, messages. So it's detecting different devices on wireless. And then I see some of these drop downs here so we can further filter it out. So we can just look at access points. Okay, so the type here shows you Wi-Fi APs with the signal strength. And let's look at just devices. All right, so let's just look at all devices. We'll click on a client. And so here, this gives us some useful information, right? And we've got the MAC address of the client right there. It's a Cisco system. It's on channel 8. Oh, okay. Monitor signal. I want to pick a different client. And yeah, Chris says he doesn't use Kismet because he gets better data through Wi-Fi Explorer and basically adding the WLANpi to Wi-Fi Explorer. And actually, me and Francois did a live stream doing that where I had Wi-Fi Explorer here at my home. And what I did was use an SSL VPN client back to his location where he was running the WLANpi with a DBX or WiSpy connected to it. And I was able to add the WLANpi as a remote sensor, and that worked out pretty well. So if we go back here, I'm trying to find a client that's actually doing a lot of traffic. So we got an Amazon. It's probably my Echo. And you can see packet frequency distribution operating on 5 gigahertz, channel 149. That's definitely mine. So then we could look at these drop downs here. Wi-Fi. All right. Okay. What type of packets overall? It's mostly data. Okay, that's great. Total packets that you could see there, data packets, any errors, just a few retry packets, and the Wi-Fi client behavior. So then you could see the AP details that this guy's connected to. I like graphs, so let's look at how visual this thing is. And if you like these bar graphs, sure. I don't really find it useful to me. And then you got some dev stuff. What does this do? Oh, that's cool. So it gives you some JSON information, so you could probably script something up if you needed to. So far, I'm not finding Kismet all that useful to me. Maybe we click on this hamburger button, settings, or we already did that. And we look at data sources. So it's got the WLAN 0 there. So here we can actually tell it to pause or lock it to a specific channel instead of hopping, and it's hopping is that a channel every 5 seconds or 5 channels every second? I don't know. But we can tell it what channel to stick to. It's just enabling all of them at the moment. All right, so I want to lock on, so I guess you have to pick 2.4 and 5. There you go. And so now we should be able to just see what's on that channel. I don't know how that updates, but it's still showing me everything else that's already scanned. We can go down here to channels. Anything change? Sees 10 devices there. That's kind of useful. All right, so let me go back to that data source, because I do have another interface and it's not enabled right now. So if you have a better interface, you could use that one for running your analysis. All right, so I'm going to lock it onto a channel. And it's running. Kismet will try to reopen the source if an error occurs. Okay. So there it is. It's scanning. It's scanned on 2.4, but it is scanning just one channel right now. And it can see all these devices on channel 149. So that's Kismet, right? So we got channel coverage. That's great. I don't know what to do with this graph. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. So I don't really find this useful. I don't know about you guys, but it's interesting to look at, I guess. Maybe I need to spend more time on it. So those were the two tools I had enough time to spend on yesterday. So now because we're almost at an hour, so it takes a lot of time to get this going, upgrade it, figure out what you're trying to do and get connected to it before you do anything. And so now we can look at the FAQ, which you should be doing first. There are some documentation on GitHub as well. But if you went to WLANpi, this is kind of where you logged into. And so if we look at the latest image on WLANpi, we are at 1.9.1 as of February 12th. This was released by Jerry Ola. And so he's added a lot more capabilities and updated things. The one thing that I haven't even looked at is wconsole, which is a neat little feature. And Nigel Bowden does have a video on this. You can actually enable this through through the interface of the WLANpi. And actually, if you just go here, let's see if we can get things focused again. I'll show you how to enable the console feature. Right now it's just telling me Kismet is running. We'll try to get it focused. So let's go back. Was it here that I saw it? There's Profiler. Go back. I think it was under Actions. So this is you can't really see it because of the LED lighting there, but the first one is wireless console, and we do have the option for a hotspot. We should actually go through that as well, but I will hit next on wconsole. Your only two options are cancel, get the heck out of there, or confirm. So this will put it into a different mode. And so if you're trying to use this as a wireless console, you enable that feature, and then you have to reboot, or it'll reboot the WLANpi and then come up as a console. And then the only way to access it is through wireless. So set up your wireless first. Otherwise, you have to go back into the menu and change the mode back to the classic mode. And that's a neat little feature if you want to use it as a console, because then you could hook up your lab to it and be able to use it. So here are the settings for TCP using it as a console, and that's cool. I mean, that's perfect for labs, or if you've got a bunch of network devices you want to connect in your rack. This is one way to do it. And so this is a nice little setup here. I have a similar setup. I have a 12-port switch. I have a controller plugged into it, and then you can console into each one of these devices through the WLANpi. So I think that's a great feature. I think the other feature that we should look at is hotspot. And let's see if there's any documentation on it. Here's updated hotspot. So I'm using an older version. And so let's see what this looks like if we try to do that. So we'll go down to hotspot and hit next. And then we'll want to go down to confirm. And it's switching to the hotspot mode. So it's gonna reboot, and we'll see what that does. Because in hotspot mode, we can use the WLANpi as an access point, right? And then you could do things like wall attenuation measurements with this. And I think that would be really neat to do. I know Francois does this all the time with WLANpi. He uses this for different surveys. And I think I would start using this as a little tool for wall attenuation measurements as well. So the other thing I want to look at here, if we go to hotspot, so here's like some good documentation on it. If you're looking at the details, these are the requirements. You got to have a supported wireless adapter plug into the USB port. WLANpi distribution version 1.7 or later, which is good. I'm not at 1.8. And then here's the installation. So let's see. So Jim, you did this on Thursday, huh? I'm trying to get a view of this. So to install, the install process is relatively easy, all right? Connect the WLANpi to the internet and pull the latest files from our GitHub repository. All right. So let's see. Should we try this? I mean, we're about at an hour. Maybe this will be the last thing we do, and then give my thoughts on this thing. All right. Copy and paste one at a time. Sure. Let's do it. Do that. We're going to remove this thing. Okay. Or let's see, grab hotspot. I just want to see. Okay, there's something there. We're going to paste this. We're going to remove that directory altogether. Then we're going to do, we're going to copy the latest version. All right. Cloning. All right. It was able to do that. All right. So if we see that the directory is there, sure. And then set permissions. Can't open. Uh-oh. There is no set file there. So it must be in a new location, WLANpi hotspot.git. So maybe in the .git repository. So now I got to do a bit of digging. We're looking for WLANpi or set file permissions. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay. So now I'm looking for a file. I don't see a set file permissions. Do you guys know where this would be located now? I downloaded the latest version. Set file permissions.sh. Where would this be? Under conf? Hostpad. That's where we would configure our hotspot. Install.txt, or maybe I should use the README, right? That's probably a good start. Oh, it's just telling us to switch it on. Or let's scroll up, actually. It's quite a bit. Oh, we should look at Francois' blog, actually. Okay, I remember that Francois set this up on his blog, and I remember us talking about it. Let's go to Francois' blog. All right, so he's got some updates. Ethernet NIC. I actually just want to go down. I was looking at this earlier. I think I have it open already. Yeah, it's right here. Okay, so he's updated, created a user. We'll modify the path so we can access some basic commands. This is quite a bit. Yeah, so Jim, I'm kind of with you. Mine's not that old, but there's a lot to go through to configure this. All right, so let's try configuring. Let's just try it. What the heck? So D package list grep host APD. Okay. So we do have it installed. I believe that's what that means. So we need to go there and create a network. Yes, Francois is there. He's able to help us. All right, so here I am. SSID is called WLANpi Hotspot. Okay, that's cool. Which, it's already there, guys. It's there. There it is. All right. No need to do anything unless I want to change all these settings, right? So you can set the SSID and the passphrase. If you want to do 5 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, and what channel you want to set it to. So right now, by default, such a channel 36. I think this is your configuration, huh, Francois? Because it's set to Canada as a country code. So I should change that to US here. We can leave that. We're using a 40 megahertz channel with AC. So you can set all these different settings. This is cool. So we'll go there, modify, sure. All right, so WLANpi is already there. We'll open up Wi-Fi Explorer. We'll do a search for WLANpi. There it is. Look at that signal strength. It's strong. All right, so that's the hotspot. I'm going to start using that feature. I think that's useful because I do like to take wall attenuation measurements quite often. And I think that's all I'm going to do for today on WLANpi. There's so much more I need to figure out. I need to upgrade it and flash the image to the SD card. So maybe that could be a separate video. And actually, Nigel has a video on that, so I don't need to do that. But yeah, there's a lot of contributors. So Francois is now a contributor to this, and the tool set for. So what's my impression, right? Is this worth? Is this an enterprise tool? It is not an enterprise tool. Is it a hobbyist tool? I don't know if I would classify it as a hobbyist tool. I'd probably just say, the best tool that you have is the one that's with you. And so if you have a WLANpi and that's all you have and you don't have the fancy $1,000+ tools, then you could try to get away with this and work your best with what's available on the WLANpi or become a contributor to it and add other tools and capabilities to it. So I think I will start looking at this a little bit more. I will start adding this to my bag and actually understand how it works, upgrade it, because it has some really neat features. It just takes time to go through the interface and understand the nuances of WLANpi. But the size of this thing, you can get it smaller, obviously, if you don't have the case on it. It's just about that big. And so I think WLANpi is a great tool. I don't know about you guys. What else can you use for that price? Oh, man. Should we browse through the WLANpi project? There's other packages on here, right? So we talked about the speed test. You could use it as an iPerf server or a throughput server. So I don't know if anyone has been using it with Ekahau. You could have a throughput server, and you could probably go to, when you're doing your survey, instead of using your adapter as a passive, you could do a throughput and put the IP address of the WLANpi if you've set up the server there. Let's see, what else can you do? Some Wireshark capabilities on their WLANpi Shark, I think is what it's called. The Wi-Fi console, I think, is a great feature. WiPerf, using it with Splunk, I think you should really check that out. There is a page about it. Let me see here. Oh, that's not what I want to show. This page here, WiPerf, I think there is something from, there's a blog post that somebody did, Splunk build page, that goes to Wi-Fi Nigel. I think it was like Christian Roberts that worked on it. He had a good blog post about it on setting it up, and that's something that I'll look into it. You can use it as an air console. So if you don't want to use a console cable, let's say maybe you're using AP on a stick and the AP is about, 30 feet high, you could attach the WLANpi to it, use it as an air console. If there's no wireless console available to that AP, the profiler, which we didn't get to, I'll check that out. And I think the profiler would be useful if you're trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but trying to identify client capabilities. And so the profiler will help determine those client capabilities. So there's a lot of potential in the WLANpi. I think it needs more contribution and a little bit cleanup of the page and some good instructions for people who aren't able to figure it out. Because some pages from the WLANpi are filled out and some are not. And so they need some help on filling that out. Or you can go to the GitHub page of whatever project, the feature you're looking at, for example, like the WLANpi Hotspot. The GitHub page has some pretty good documentation. So you can get lost, I guess, if you're pretty new to WLANpi, trying to figure out where to go. But the tool is great if this is the only tool you've got, and it's got a lot of other packages in it. So it's definitely not, I would say it's a bit more than a hobbyist tool. It's on its way to becoming a really useful tool in your bag for troubleshooting and for analysis because of the size and weight and portability of this tool. And so that's it. That's all I have. And if you guys have anything else you want to chat about, let me know in the comments. Give me a like on this video if you thought it was okay. This was me actually going through the WLANpi for the second time. I've only used, the first time was yesterday when I tried to prepare for this live stream, just to show what the capabilities are. And Jim Palmer says, follow the labs in the Google Doc. Yes, there are labs. Let me see if I can pull that up before we end the live stream. There are labs. So if we go over to the WLANpi, you see what I mean? Like, I can't find some of these things. Where is that page? It's probably in the getting started page. Yeah, I can't find it, but I do have a link, although it's hard to type. Document. I know I've looked at it. I think this is the one. I'll share my screen if it is. Yep. This is the WLANpi user guide from WLPC. So I did look at this. It gives you some more details about the WLANpi, and so I'm sure this will update if a newer version of the WLANpi comes out, because I believe this project came out in 2016, if I'm correct there. So there might be a newer version of this WLANpi as far as hardware goes and the capabilities. Here's where the recommended wireless adapters are. That's where I remember seeing it. All right, so here's where you can see the tested adapters, and I can tell you that my Asus adapter works, my Edamax adapter works, other adapters. Here's the quick reference sheet, which is if you got your WLANpi from WLPC, it's got a sticker on there with the same details. So here you can do your iPerf server, speed test, and then additional software that's already installed. So we ran through HORST and setting up host APD. Talks about powering your WLANpi. So the way that my WLANpi is getting power is through my Thunderbolt dock, Thunderbolt dock, and through USB. If you've got one of those PoE splitters, you can do it that way. You can customize the configuration, and Francois also has some blogs on setting up and customizing your WLANpi, which I think I'll go through to make it my own, right? So here's customize your WLANpi, and he's got a video on how to do that, showing you all those different details to get something like that, like a little message there that you could show either your company name or something fun. So that's the WLANpi guide. So here's updating all the packages, what applications are on boot. Here's the labs to try. All right, so this is the setup, getting it set up. Here's the Kismet lab. So you can do, I didn't even see the 802.11 sniffing. Where is that? Data sources, sure. A lot more details there. Kismet mobile, you can use your mobile device. Look at the mobile dashboard, that's cool. Then there's HORST. Kind of goes into what HORST looks like, and then connected WLANpi using SSH from your Mac or PC. That's easy. Launching HORST. Then it goes into what all those columns mean. So that's what I was trying to figure out. RAT means the physical data rate. So I guess it's short for rate. They couldn't add the E and the N there. could have called it PRAT or something, P-rate. Here's the keyboard commands. Okay. I was trying to get to channel, which wasn't working. I was pressing C, I swear. I was pressing C on my keyboard. It was not going to channel settings. And then we can look at some Wi-Fi traffic analytics, which we did. We did do that. So this is a big lab here. And then using filters, which I was trying to get to as well, and it wasn't working. And you could filter out what you want to see from which source MAC. So I thought HORST was a really good application on the WLANpi. And then here, setting it up as a remote sensor, you do need Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. So go ahead and try that out. And I'll link to a video, a live stream that Francois and I did, where I was using my Wi-Fi Explorer Pro and connecting to Francois's his WLANpi. So from California all the way to the East Coast, I was able to do spectrum analysis off the WLANpi in his home. And so I thought that was really neat. So that's all I have for you guys. There's a lot more that we can do with the WLANpi. I definitely need to get up to speed with it. But if you guys have any other tips or questions, put them into the comments so people can understand where to go and what are the tips they should do, what they should do first with the WLANpi. I'll include some links to where you can find all these documents, some of the GitHub pages, and the other useful links that would help you get started, especially using WLANpi with Splunk, your Wi-Fi Splunk, whatever you want to call it. So that's all I have. Thank you guys for joining me on this live stream. Give me a like if you enjoyed this kind of live lab. I feel a little flustered trying to figure things out while you guys sit there and watch me. I feel like all of you are hovering behind my shoulder, looking at me as I try to go into the WLANpi. So tomorrow I'm going to go live again at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And I'm debating on doing a live lab on Junos. I have a Juniper switch with me. Maybe I will configure my WLANpi as a console, a Wi-Fi console, and we could work on it that way and see if we could get into a little bit of DevOps with Juniper. And I'm not so much advanced on the Juniper side, so we'll see what the differences are with Junos and Cisco IOS or Nexus OS. So that might be the topic for tomorrow. I still have to plan for it after today or after this, and we'll see how it goes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the live lab and enjoyed watching me stumble along the way, but it showed how easy it is for me to go through something new on a WLANpi and figure out where do you go to get documentation and packages and whatnot. So thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate it, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.